Um, Likely yes, but ultimately, I think the better question is what sort of results or what do you consider success if you're an advertiser? So if you consider success that I want 100 leads a month, well, that's going to take a different number of minimum impressions versus I think success would be 5 leads a month. So it really depends on what the outcome that somebody's looking for will determine what that minimum expenditure is.
That depends on the scope. That depends on what you're trying to achieve. I think if you say I've got $500 a month, I say figure out a way to put that $500 back into your business, because you're not going to have a successful campaign with $500 a month. It also depends on your market. If you're in a small market, $2,000 a month, might be very effective in a small market. It's not going to be very effective in a big market because you're just not putting enough impressions out with enough frequency to achieve what you're going to what you're trying to achieve. So, and that's part of working with your media partner. They can help you understand for your market, for what you're trying to achieve, what a good budget is.
Whether you're doing sort of a mass market play or if you're looking for a really niche audience. Of course, your niche audiences can be a little more cost effective, especially if you're doing something like Facebook or even search. But if you're looking for a mass market, it's going to get expensive for sure.
So I work in Austin and surrounding cities, and there used to be a number that they would say this is the minimum amount that you need to spend. And we're doing that as a service to you, because if you spend too little, it is not really going to help your campaign lift in the way that you want it to, right? So I don't think there is a magic number specifically. I'm not going to put out a number that's, it's got to be $2,000 a month, because that's going to vary based on the zip codes you're trying to reach, the target you're trying to reach, and everything. Now, I'd say if you have $100 and you're trying to do a campaign, there's probably a better way to spend your $100. Streaming TV is not like pay-per-click on Google, right? It's definitely a bit more expensive than your standard PPC campaign that you buy through Google AdWords. You're definitely going to want a good reach and frequency there, and one of the ways that we do that is we do send reporting to you, and we're actually working on a way to send it to you before you even book the campaign, so you can look at your streaming TV buy to see what kind of reach and frequency you get. And that magic number of a 3 frequency that I'm sure everyone has heard, for years and years, is still the same with streaming. You want to keep that frequency above a 3. And so we could just kind of look at those zip codes, and we look at the target and see what kind of frequency we can get with that and what kind of reach we can get within your demographic. But I don't think there's a specific number. I would say 100, too little, but it can go up from there. And I usually work with around 1,500 for your average, maybe entry-level streaming TV campaigns.
Throughout the country?
Yes, actually, here in the Austin San Antonio market, there's an auto dealer who the same dealer owns 2 Hyundai stores, and they're about 30 miles apart. One is in the Austin market and one's in the San Antonio market. And so they wanted to test an audience-driven campaign versus a traditional demo-driven campaign. And so what we did, since they're in different media markets, we were able to do, but completely different campaigns for them. In San Antonio, we did the traditional demo-driven adult 25-54 campaign that, consisted of, high-profile programming and, a lot of prime time and, a lot of programming that traditionally you would use to target, an auto buyer. In Austin, we used our first-party data, aggregated, de-identified, and matched up, identified as people who owned a Kia or Hyundai. So they already owned the brand. They were already engaged with that brand. And so we were able to identify those homes, and we created a campaign delivered primarily to those homes, but also, to the, the networks and day parts that people that were like them were going to buy, going to be watching. And so the results were dramatic. The website traffic was more than 3 times in Austin versus San Antonio. There were every measurable engagement that we could measure. Austin far outpaced San Antonio, and not just with better results, not just with more web traffic and more sales, but a higher concentration of responses from the impression level. So it showed that we were delivering the ads to the homes that were really predisposed to take action, and and more receptive to that brand, to their offers. And basically the same creative, because it's 2 Hyundai dealers, they're running the same kind of look and feel of ad, and it's the same owner, 30 miles apart, different targeting strategies, and the data-driven strategy dramatically outperformed the traditional demo strategy.
I'll use generic. We were working with a real estate developer around town, and we were trying to find ways, like, what is the best way to help grow out, because they were trying to build a lot of homes, and then once the homes were built, they had to sell them. I was like, how do we get to where, because they're building the homes now, we have a timeline of X to get it to where we're selling these homes. Like, what do we need to do? So the key that we did was we used the same idea here of first-party data of can we see, like, the, not to say like who's doing the leads, but like the amount of leads you have on your websites, conversions, and this, and it's like, see if we can map them to a zip code. So that way we figured out here's where they're coming from, and here's how many they're going on, so we know, like, in terms, like, say, tonnage, or more or less, like, where should we target most in terms of, like, the budget for the advertising campaign. And in doing so, we got them on air, and it was one of our biggest clients we had for like 3 or 4 years. And they were spending 6 figures in this market, which is a pretty fair amount. So that was a great success story for us, is just finding ways to using first-party data to make sure that we finding ways to use first-party data to make sure they hit their primary audience all the time, make sure they grow their business from the ground up. Another one we could use is almost using the same exact example, is just more of a window company around town. And they had the same thing of, like, well, we have all this Salesforce data. It was like, what can we use this for to see if we can, like, reach our audience the best? So we took the data, what makes the most sense, where are they coming from, who are they in terms of the audience type, and then from there they grew their business by at least last year. I believe they're still current with us too. I was like, they also did the same thing, and they saw huge dividends and gains in their business that they saw. So very, very nice to see, like, something that, hey, we see it and it starts to work, and I was like, we're both helping each other. It's always nice to see that.
For sure. So I have several clients that are digital only, but I work with a client that is at the state level, and so they buy all over the state, and they're like e-commerce, I would say, without mentioning specifically, but they are running just streaming TV with me and some traditional TV, but their product is really focused on a lot of higher income households that have disposable income, I suppose, to kind of spend frivolously on something, an item that you don't need but may want. And so we were very focused on reaching that person and what kind of car they drive, because it is auto adjacent to what they're doing. And so they've been running with me. To me, a success is somebody that continues to run every year because they're seeing results, and so they're coming back to you. And we've been playing around with putting their streaming TV ads specifically into Monday Night Football because it's a little sports focused. Part of their product is sports focused, and their commercials are sports focused. So we've been putting their streaming ads directly into Monday Night Football, which is a capability not a lot of people can do, but we can do. And that was very successful for them because we know we're reaching that Monday Night Football viewer. And that sports viewer is very important because they're enthusiastic, compassionate, and very engaged. So they've just been 100% digital with me, 100% streaming, and they've just seen a lot of success with it.